Yo guys, it's Andrew. Now, this is the third part to a long series I'm doing of experiencing Guild Wars 2 as a completely new player. Now, if you want to see the first and also the second parts of my long adventure in Guild Wars 2, there will be two links in the description below to those two videos. And I highly recommend you do go check those out before watching this video so you can see my full experience adventuring and exploring the world of Guild Wars 2. Now, if you are here after watching the first and second part, or you just want to watch this part to see my impressions on the levels 30 through 40, then welcome to the video. Of course, make sure to like and subscribe to see more of this series and more content like this, and leave a comment below, and let me know your thoughts on what you think of my impressions of Guild Wars 2. Or if you have any suggestions on videos you may want to see, like other things in Guild Wars 2, or even other games or MMOs in general. I look at all my comments, as I've said before, and I love talking with all you guys, so leave your thoughts and suggestions below if you want to. But now to get into the progress of my Guild Wars 2, I've been really enjoying the game still, and I honestly think my enjoyment of the game it's just been growing more and more as I keep leveling up and learning more about the ins and outs of this game. It's been great. If you couldn't tell if you were watching this background video I have, I am not playing Engineer like I said I was going to for this entire series. My alt-loving self is an extreme altaholic, and I really wanted to make a Guardian character after seeing it in action, and that character has ended up becoming my highest level so far. I couldn't help myself. I really couldn't. And I've also been playing with some friends as well, who are also new to the game as well, and that's been really fun doing that too. Doing their story with them, and also exploring the world together, and they've been loving it as well, and I'm honestly excited to see if maybe we'll all make it to the end together, and it'll be really fun to experience what the end game of Guild Wars 2 has to offer as well. It's also been great how seamless the party gameplay is in Guild Wars 2, being able to experience all of the story together, and being able to just seamlessly explore all the zones together, scaled down to the exact same level as each other. It's really great. And I also did try other classes like Ranger and Revenant, and of course Guardian, which I'm playing now, and I'm thinking of trying Warrior soon as well, because that looks very fun too. But I'm trying to stop myself and use all my willpower possible to stop myself from making another alt again, because I really need to keep on going, at least on one character, to just learn more and explore the world more in the higher levels, so I can give the best impressions possible I can about the game for you guys and for my videos as well. But I definitely will try Warrior at some point. I can be sure of that. I definitely will. But with my highest level character, Guardian, I've been absolutely loving it so far, and it's probably been the most fun I've had at playing any of the classes with how it feels. The gameplay feels awesome for Guardian, and it just gets me really immersed into this class fantasy of being a zealot, paladin, heavily armored and devoted warrior, being a great tactician who burns his enemies to the ground with radiant fire and justice and all of that. The paladin and holy fiery warrior aesthetic is just so badass, and I just can't get over how great it feels too. I've been using the sword in my main hand and the torch in my offhand, and it just feels so good and fast, and with how fast the sword is, and with how much AoE fire and burning damage and damage over time I do, it's just really satisfying. But I will definitely get more into that once we get into the combat section of this video. I've been trying my hardest to 100% every zone I come across, but it's been really hard when so many of the zones are just genuinely so aesthetically pleasing and fun to explore in. However, I did 100% two of the zones so far I've came across, that being Queensdale, which is the first zone of the human race, the starting zone for the humans, and the Dieso Plateau, which I assume is the second zone for the Char race, I'm pretty sure. And Dieso Plateau is definitely one of my favorite zones, and I've experienced so far it's been definitely one of my favorite zones I've experienced so far for many reasons, which I will get into later of this video as well. But to get into my story before that, on the continuation of my personal story, I was sent by Queen Jenna to work with the Orders of Tyria, 3 different groups of people who are extremely powerful and have lots of influence, and have very different traditions and philosophies and ways of fighting and dealing with large threats that threaten Tyria and its safety and its people. The large threat currently being Zaitan, the Elder Dragon threat who is rising undead forces against Tyria, and these 3 different orders have multiple ways of dealing with Zaitan. The Derman Priory believes that knowledge and scholarly prowess will be the way to fight against the Elder Dragon of Death. And the Vigil Order is a military order that believes that the best way to successfully beat Zaitan and the undead armies is to meet them head-on with our own large and united armies, and beat them back by force of arms and combat decisiveness. And the Order of Whispers, which is the last order, prefers discreetness, cunning, stealth, and outsmarting the Elder Dragon to win against the threat. This part of the story specifically had required me to make many decisions and choices on how I would want this part of the story to go, which I think is pretty great, honestly. In this first part of the questline, I had to save a group of kids who got trapped in a swamp, and I had to choose between the Derman Priory's scholarly knowledge and magical prowess, or the Vigil Order's decisiveness and head-on strength. And I went for the Vigil Order for this decision because I feel like as a guardian, I am like a zealot knight paladin who burns down any who stand in his way and delivers justice to the unworthy and the dead. And I chose the Vigil Order because, you know, it just fits me more. And I chose the Vigil Order once again after this decision, deciding between protecting a village with the Vigil Order or going to seek answers with the Order of Whispers to see who is raising all this undead. I preferred saving the common people over leaving them for dead just for some information. And after that second decision, I had to make another one, lastly, and I had the decision between talking to the undead with the Derman Priory to seek answers from someone who may know of Kelek, the suspected Seraph soldier who went missing and may be the person raising all this undead. Or to go with the Order of Whispers and disguise myself as as a pirate, to speak with other pirates about information that they may have on Kelek. Now, this time around, I actually did decide to go with the Order of Whispers because I definitely don't think a character like mine who is a guardian would try to step into the realm of the dead, where a guardian or a paladin-esque fantasy class, this type of class, you know, they always respect the dead and send them back to where they belong. We did eventually find out that it was Kelek who was raising the undead because he found an ancient cursed relic which was causing him to raise up zombies for the Elder Dragon Zaitan. And I had to choose between the 3 orders for the last time to decide who would protect the king from Kelek, who was trying to kill her with his undead forces. And of course, I did choose the Vigil Order because it just fits me best as someone who is a guardian. I liked their methods the best out of all of the others and what they stood for because as a guardian who is a knight serving justice to the unworthy and burning down his enemies, the Vigil Order fit that best as a military order because I feel like my character would easily fall into the ranks of an order like that, which uses their tactics and decisive action with armies and diplomacy to fight against these threats. And with the Vigil Order, I took a stand with Queen Jenna and also Logan Thackeray once again, and we stopped Kelek in his tracks. I really enjoyed this chapter of the personal story, and I really can't wait to see what comes next with this Elder Dragon threat named Zaitan. It sounds really awesome, and I can't wait to see what happens, and I can't wait to get there in time. But to get into the combat and character progression, and learning more about it over time and how it's continuing to get deeper. I've started to really get more in depth with the specializations I had unlocked at level 21, but this time with the Guardian class. Because I'm using a sword and torch as my main weapons on my Guardian, I went with the Radiance specialization as my first specialization for Guardian. And oh my god, do I absolutely love how Guardian feels now with the specialization. It is just awesome how one specialization made a massive difference in how my class played. It's awesome. Each time I get a critical hit against an enemy, I automatically passively use my number 4 ability, which can snowball over and over and over again into my number 4 ability passively activating constantly and making me deal so much burning damage to enemies all around me. It is just crazy satisfying because I crit relatively often as a Guardian, and seeing my number 4 ability passively activate over and over and over again is just so satisfying, and it's doing tons of damage, and it's definitely made me love Guardian even more than the previous classes I've played so far. And I even have a trait from Radiance as well, which gives me more critical hit chance against burning enemies. So it just snowballs. My entire gameplay is pretty much snowballing off each other, causing me to do massive burning damage passively. It's just incredibly fun, and it's so flashy because the fire effects are just, it's just, oh my god, I can't get over it. It's just awesome. I really can't. And I've been leaning more on my gear, I've been leaning more into condition damage as much as I can, because all this burning damage over time is just crazy, and getting more burning damage over time is pretty much the way I want to go with this. So I've been trying to get as much condition damage as possible. The Sword and Torch gameplay definitely did improve so greatly when I went into Radiance, and I really look forward to getting to level 45 so I can unlock my second specialization, to see how much more my current build snowballs off of each other, doing incredibly massive damage. I've also been looking a fair bit at the elite specializations for Guardian as well, and that I'm relatively interested in. Dragon Hunter and Firebrand sound awesome, just awesome to me. And with the path I'm going down, it seems that I may be trying out Firebrand first with all the fire damage and condition damage I'm doing. Overall though, my enjoyment of the combat has spiked drastically. It's been amazing, and I'm absolutely loving the combat even more than how much I did before. So I can't wait to learn more about the class and my class progression and more about combat in general, and to get that second specialization for my character very soon too. It's going to be awesome. As I've said many times, Guild Wars 2's world is just fantastic, and I feel such a great sense of adventure and wanderlust as I keep progressing through the game. To give you a couple stories of my exploration, while playing with one of my friends, and who's also new to the game, one of the things we encountered in the Dieso Plateau zone was an entire little tomb area that apparently was a tomb for dead Ascalonian soldiers with high honors. It was overrun by a large amount of hostile charged soldiers, and me and my friend went in and we had to explore and actually solve puzzles to keep progressing through the tomb. And at the end of all the puzzles and the mob killing, we got to the final boss and we did kill him. Now, while the rewards weren't that great, it was honestly so fun to have to go through lots of mobs and even solve actual puzzles that had me thinking for a bit on how we actually should solve these. And it gave me an amazing, single player or co-op RPG feeling, but in an MMO with friends and other players. It's something I really hadn't experienced before, but I'm glad I did, and I absolutely enjoyed it. Complete props to Guild Wars 2 for being able to really make fun stuff like this and make the world feel alive and feel worth exploring. And on top of that as well, jump puzzles were starting to get really interesting and also really fun and challenging. Sometimes I couldn't wrap my head around how I was supposed to progress and parkour into some areas to reach a Vista or a Hero Point challenge that was on a very high area that I had to parkour and get to. But I kept going at it, and I figured it out, and it always felt super satisfying to reach the top of those jump puzzles. And I honestly can't wait to see the other jump puzzles that this game will have, because wow, I really enjoyed that one jump puzzle that it took me a while to figure out, and it was relatively challenging and had me thinking a lot. On top of that as well, I also encountered a village of Char that was completely overrun, and all of the Char NPCs inside of it were just unconscious, dead, or knocked out. And there was a massive giant in the middle of the entire village just walking around. And I went in and fought the giant, and it took so long to bring him down. At least 5-6+ minutes of fighting him, and his mechanics were actually really interesting. And it took me a few tries to really get it down, his mechanics. And when I started getting really consistent on those mechanics that he was doing, he started dying relatively quickly, and we got him. And the entire village was saved, and the Char civilians and NPCs just came back into the area and took back their village, and even thanked me for saving their village. Little things like this, once again, just really make the game for me. It's incredibly fun, and as I've said before, I'm a massive RPG fan, and immersive things like this just make me feel like the world is so much more alive. Guild Wars 2 is so great at capturing that essence, unlike any MMO I've ever seen try, honestly. It's really making me love the game even more than I do. And I just can't wait to see what comes next, honestly, with exploring the world. It's going to be awesome. And I've just been absolutely enjoying and loving the vast open world that Guild Wars 2 brings to the table of the MMO genre. It truly is something that I haven't really felt ever when it comes to MMOs. no MMO has really had the dynamic events that Guild Wars 2 does. The explorable areas filled to the brim with story. The crazy jump puzzles that are so fun and also hilarious to fail when you fall off and just break all your bones and die. The pacing of the leveling has also definitely been getting longer, but I'm glad it is, because the more you level through a long journey and then you finally reach the end of that long leveling experience journey, it just feels that much more satisfying. And being someone who is definitely an alcoholic and loves leveling multiple characters because I enjoy the feel of just progressing a character through the early stages and getting them to the endgame stages of any sort of game, be it RPG or MMO. And I absolutely look forward to learning more of the vast lore that this game has to offer, because I'm exploring the world of Guild Wars 2 and I always wonder about certain things that I see. Like, why are all these Ascalonian ghosts around? Why are there tons of human separatists in different areas? Why are the Char in charge of that same area that the Ascalonians used to be in? I've been absolutely taking my time and also relaxing with the game and wondering these things, and it's been awesome. And sometimes I've been watching YouTube videos on the side while I play, and sometimes playing and talking with friends in Guild Wars 2, or just reading every single possible NPC dialogue that I come across. It's been absolutely great so far, and I love the pacing of Guild Wars 2 and how the leveling doesn't feel like a drag, or that I need to rush automatically to max level, or to gear, and all that type of stuff. And of course, I love that type of stuff, being someone who loves endgame content in MMOs like WoW and ESO, doing the typical MMO grinds, but taking my time and loving the Guild Wars 2 world has been great and makes me really appreciate Guild Wars 2 as a game even more if I were to just rush through and it not experience all the cool things that this game has to offer. But in conclusion, I look forward to learning way more about Guild Wars 2 than I already know. And if you are a new player, levels 1 to 40 is absolutely worth it, I can tell you that much. And has been such a great experience so far. And I'm sure going forward into the later levels are also going to be very worth it. And I have very high hopes for my enjoyment of this game. And I haven't been disappointed thus far, so it's been great. And I've been loving and exploring the world, experiencing actual open world puzzles and jump puzzles, and which have been really fun and funny to experience. And my enjoyment of the combat and gameplay has spiked drastically with how awesome Guardian feels as a class, and especially with the specializations I'm getting for it. I've been experiencing more and more the dynamic events that appear, and it's just been a really great time. Guild Wars 2 has been a great time. And like I said before, I've been having a lot of friends too who have been experiencing the game for themselves, and they've been all enjoying it as well. We don't really have a lot of negative opinions about this game yet. Of course, every MMO has its negatives and its positives, of course. And I honestly just can't wait to learn more about those negatives and also those positives. Because you can't just love an MMO and be like, oh, there is only positives about this game. Every MMO definitely has its negatives, and even if you love it, admitting that it really shows your true love for the MMO, and also it shows that it's a game. Every game has its negatives and positives. But that's all for now. Remember, of course, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the likes, the subscribers, and overall the support for all these videos and the discussions we have about games. And I love talking with all you guys in the comments below about games, MMOs, and all that type of stuff. Again, comment, like, subscribe, and make sure you guys have a good day and have a good week. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.